My husband refused to do housework, and after I pressured him, he made several shockingly sarcastic remarks that pushed me to decide on divorce. My husband, 33M, and I, 30F, have been married for 11 years. He is in the military and we have lived all over the place. During this time I have taken on most if not all of the household chores, grocery shopping, cleaning, cooking, laundry, and when needed he has mowed the lawn, hung stuff up on walls. I have for most of our marriage had a job as well. I asked in the past for help around the house and it was not even considered. He in fact threatened to eat off of paper plates or eat fast food so that I wouldn't have to worry about his dishes. Fast forward to now, we have a 13-month-old baby. I've stayed home since birth and am still cooking, cleaning, laundry, groceries, pets, all on me. I again decided to revisit the topic as I'm feeling so burnt out. I breastfeed all night, am responsible for bath time, feeding baby for mealtime, clean up after mealtime, dishes. He thinks going to work is enough? That I'm not grateful for him working since I'm asking him to help me around the house? I told him, why are we married then? I can just get a job and do it all myself still. I'd find a way. He reluctantly agreed to helping after I mentioned this would be it for me. He even said, I know I haven't been doing enough, but I thought I was enough, and I stared at him in disbelief. The following week every time he fed the baby or changed the baby or put food away after dinner it was always a comment, I hope this is enough, or am I doing enough? We got home one day after grocery shopping. I got the baby out of the car seat and went to the other side to grab a few bags. He said, no, I got it. I said, please let me get some. He said no. As we're walking inside he says, I hope breaking my back is enough for you. Like, I can't win. I told him it's like he's punishing me for asking for help. I mentioned divorce and he said if we divorce he isn't going to be involved in our child's life. He said, and I quote, it's all or nothing. He says he doesn't want to divorce. We currently live overseas and divorce would mean me moving back to the States near family with our baby while he stays at his duty station. Ada for considering divorcing my husband knowing that he would choose not to know his own child? How can I do this to our baby? But how can I live like this? Am I asking for too much? Extra info. We married after 6 months of dating. Military marriage, shocker, right? He had said during that time that he grew up with a single mom and had sisters and could understand the female perspective. During one of our long conversations throughout the dating period I mentioned equal housework responsibilities and he agreed. Married and then things were opposite. I over the years would approach the subject different ways, gently asking, reminding, being louder, showing how upset I felt. It didn't matter. I have held down jobs our whole marriage until now so we always were both working. I just kept trying to let it go, convincing myself that he doesn't drink, isn't physically abusive and provides well so I should be grateful. Every conversation attempt to try to get him to share in household responsibilities ended up in me apologizing for not being grateful for all he does. In his words, he'll never be good enough. 4 years in our marriage we never got pregnant and eventually tests were ran and we were told we could not conceive. Only possible with intervention, but again that would be a maybe. 2 years ago my husband confessed to cheating while on deployment when I picked him up the same night he got back. We found out I was pregnant 4 months after he told me what he did. Counseling with him only lasted 2 sessions. He said it brought up too much trauma from his childhood. Anytime I tried to talk about it, it would end up with me trying to make him feel better about what he did and the shame he had around his actions. I should have left a long time ago. I completely agree with those statements. I just didn't want to throw in the towel over things that could be fixed. I knew there was potential here and tried and begged for years. I'm not perfect. I have flaws and faults. But I will never regret my child. We have the happiest and healthiest baby who is a complete joy. Thank you for reading this far and I appreciate those who have been kind. Oh, and I asked for clarification on them all or nothing comment the next day to make sure it wasn't said in the heat of being hurt. He said he meant it. And his justification is that it would be too hard to be involved only a little since he'd be stationed far away for most of their childhood and he doesn't want to do that to our child. Sharp comment 1. I am leaning towards counseling if he's willing. But I am also taking necessary steps in the background to remove myself and our child from this dysfunction if things cannot be worked out. I believe in marriage and that's why I'm still here. But everyone has a breaking point. He would choose not to know his own child? How can I do this to our baby? Read that out loud several times. He is literally telling you that he doesn't love his own child. Is that someone you want raising your child? Contact your family and start making plans to return home. Once those plans are in place, return home for a visit and just don't come back. File for divorce after you're back in the States. Sharp comment 2. She can get help from his command or JAG in returning home. She should go straight to the JAG office on post and get an attorney since they can only represent one spouse. The military will pack and send her stuff back so he won't even have to risk breaking his back working so hard. Also, as long as he is in the military he will have to at least pay support for her and the child or risk punishment. They are very touchy when it comes to soldiers who do not support their family, especially children. I have seen them go to FARC protecting wives who are just using the system. This doesn't appear to be that situation at all, and is the very reason this is in place, especially when stationed overseas. You need to get away from this man, your situation is only going to get more serious. Good luck. Sharp comment 3. I'll throw out a caveat here. If she goes to command or legal, she needs to stick to her guns and have a backup plan. Another soldier in my ex's unit was abusive to his wife. Pick her up and throw her against the wall abusive, and police had been called multiple times, so it was obvious and she was immediately believed. She went to his command, who moved him out of their housing and restricted him to the barracks. House arrest basically, only allowed in his barracks room and supervised on the limited occasions he could leave, meals, work, etc. So far so good. She got divorce papers ready and took them to the commander's office. She didn't want to deliver the papers to her husband herself because she knew he'd talk her out of it. She told the commander this, but he insisted that she give them to her husband and that they have a conversation. This was a couple of decades ago and we were moved shortly after it happened, but last I heard she was still with him and had gotten pregnant. I was young and pretty naive, so I didn't realize he was probably monitoring her email, and when she told me she was pregnant, I told her how worried I was about that. I never heard from her again. They also ETS'd shortly after we did and I didn't know where they moved to. Opie's husband's command may be better. I'd like to think that handling of family issues has progressed in general, but things can be very slow to change in the military and things vary hugely between posts/bases. It's a good idea to look into the resources available, both as a military spouse and with her own friends and family, and have as many options as possible.